But there's no nothing.
Oh, there is. It's just the screen, the battery kind of sucks. So the screen, it's been rolling, but the screen is just turned off just to save my battery. I'll have to tap it a couple times to make sure my battery's okay. I'm at 80%. We have a bit more than an hour, I guess. So, hello.
Hi.
How are you? I'm good. I'm well. So you are my neighbor. This is the building that we live in. Yes. And you have a very interesting life story, I think. Maybe. We're about to find out.
I have a life story, as everybody does. But maybe I had the opportunity to travel more. Lots of people have traveled probably way more than me, but I think I was very fortunate to travel.
A few people have traveled more than me.
Yes.
I think not a lot, maybe a few.
I haven't traveled to the moon yet. So.
Yes, there's a couple people who have traveled to the moon so far.
Yeah.
So tell me first, where are you from? Where were you born? About your childhood. I think this is actually, it's kind of unfortunate because there's a lot of questions I want to ask during this interview, but I almost think maybe the most interesting things will be at the beginning.
Okay.
So perhaps this is just how it is. We'll see.
You never know.
I never know.
Yeah.
No.
So just very briefly, I'm originally from Lebanon. Lebanon is in the Middle East. It had witnessed 25 years of civil war, but it still remains the most beautiful country in this universe. So it's very green, mountainous, beautiful pine trees, cedar trees, the cedars of Lebanon.
It's the most famous thing in Lebanon, right? It's sort of like the bald eagle in America. It's like the cedar tree is like the symbol. It's on the flag even, right? Yes.
So, and they're like, 3,000 to 5,000 years old, some of them. It's just unbelievable, very lucky.
When was the last time you were there?
So I was there in 2019, which is kind of recent,
recently.
right before
recently.
the pandemic. And I played with the Lebanese Philharmonic.
Wow.
And I played in 2 music festivals that are very well known. So the Baalbek Festival is a music festival, like if you want to see their Roman ruins that are under the UNESCO.
In Lebanon?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
I have to show you. Baalbek is very, very famous. All the big artists have played there.
How did you
from
get
the
that?
60s.
How did you get that opportunity? It must have been very special, right, for you to play in Lebanon.
Yeah, I mean, I was just because my father originally, so I'm a violinist, professional violinist, and my father he taught there, and he was a director of the music conservatory. So, but he passed away, unfortunately, a long time ago, and I loved him. Emile Noune was his name, and so we were still known, as his daughter. As his daughters.
Yeah.
My sister and I, and we knew lots of people. So, if you know the right people, you get invited to play. I was going back there because we all left. So many people had left in the 80s and 90s because of the war. So that's how I got the opportunity.
And so it's something I've seen. I've been to your house, and you have many pictures on your wall of family friends, people you knew growing up, and your father knew, and things like that. And it's all, you come from a very deep musical legacy.
Yeah.
It's not just something you picked up as a little girl. It's something very deep in your family.
Yeah, in a musical family. So my dad was a violinist, like I said, and my mom was a cellist. And then later on, my dad got remarried and married a beautiful, beautiful Lebanese woman. But she played the violin also because she was his student first.
Ooh, scandalous.
That's how they met.
Very
That's how
scandalous.
they met. Supposedly they had violin lessons.
Right, as it goes.
But they did. I do attest that they did have
They also had violin lessons.
Yes, yes.
So in Lebanon, can I ask what decade you were a little girl? I mean, when I want to ask about things you remember as a little girl, but what time period was it in Lebanon that you have your first kind of memories of growing up?
Yeah, because I grew up and we left like when I was 19 years old.
So
Actually,
even 16, you're more or less an adult even when you left.
Yeah, so I do have lots of memories, mostly of the war though. It's very sad because like when we were younger, so we started leaving because of the war. We went to Canada first, to Montreal. We moved, and I was 7 then. So, but then we went back, and then we moved back to England when we were older, because with the war, It was very unusual. I mean, to say that somebody now can say that they experienced war is really amazing. I mean,
Thank God that's
yeah.
not a common thing to be able
Yeah.
to say, but you're right. I've met
I mean, yeah. So
very small handful of people who
can say that.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes. And especially for most of your childhood, also not for some weeks or something.
yeah. But other people experience much worse and much longer because we had the opportunity to move out. Very fortunate. So.
And I think it's maybe an obvious question, but worth asking. Is that essentially a class difference? I mean, I guess if you have money for a plane ticket, then you can go, right?
Well, I mean,
is it
of
more
course-
simple or
yes.
less simple than?
Yeah, I mean, of course, money always helps. I mean,
Yes.
because like for travel, especially at those times.
Yes, yes.
That's why I keep on saying I was fortunate. You know.
Yeah, and you've said that many
So-
times too. You do. I think it's something you emphasize, but you also believe very deeply.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's good to because in life, if you don't appreciate what you have, it's like, why are we living? You know, you have to know when you're lucky,
Yeah.
and you have to know how to direct that fortune that you have, right?
Yes.
So
Yes. It's kind of the price, or it's the responsibility that you have for being lucky. Like if you're lucky, like how do you make up for it? Because there's no reason you should be lucky, right? But you can sort of make up for it. I mean, hopefully, you know, you can try by doing some good with it, right? With whatever luck you have. So you're a little girl in Lebanon. What are some of your first memories? I mean, about the war, if those are the things that stick out, or just in
Yeah.
general, I mean,
No,
about the garden or whatever. You know?
yeah, no, I have very fond memories, of course. You know, when you're a child, you're a child, you know,
Sure.
anything. I mean, I'll give you a brief example. We had a little garden similar to this, and me and my cousins, we would get the plant of a leaf and pretend we're cooking, and we take it to the windowsill and go, and we're turning over the eggplant or whatever we're
Yes,
cooking.
to fry it.
Yeah, I
on the
mean, this is
windowsill.
my memories are typical childhood.
Yes, yes.
And going to the beach, because the beach is right there. Going to the mountains. So, like when I was a bit older, when I started playing the violin at the age of 9, we were very serious about music because my dad was a serious musician. And so we practiced like 3 hours a day and 6 hours during the summer.
No wonder
I mean,
you're
this
so
is
good.
what you do when you
No
really
wonder.
want to go into music.
Yes,
so,
yes.
because you have to, like music, you can't just like do it on 1 hour a day.
Yes, but if you can get a kid to practice anything for 1 hour a day, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But you're right that if you're trying to really do it, maybe even that is
Yes.
not enough.
I mean, if you talk to like parents of that are musicians, are in symphony orchestras, their kids are, believe me, doing that.
I see. I see.
And of course, nowadays, kids need lots more motivation to take something like this at an early age, to take it seriously at a such early age. And you have to make sure that it's a social thing too. Like playing the violin is easier because you can play with other string players, but a pianist is more in their own room playing. It's a different thing. So, but yeah.
Yes, I
And-
feel like even this about raising children, we could talk for 5 hours.
I know, and we
Easily,
won't do that.
too
and
easily.
but I was saying only because you said about
No,
1
certainly,
hour
certainly.
is so
Yes,
hard.
yes.
But most definitely. But I just remember, like, because we practiced so hard, Sunday was our only day off, and we would go into the mountains, maybe to the Cedars. We would go because in the summer it gets really hot in Lebanon. Everybody has a summer house too.
It is quite near the equator, kind of, right? It's the countries that it borders Israel, or no?
Yes, it
And
borders with Israel.
Jordan?
And I'm gonna make a
Turkey
fool
or
out of
no?
myself. No, Turkey is like a bit
To
more
the north, right?
Yeah. So so Syria, we're surrounded by Syria, and then
yes.
Jordan is, I believe, is west of.
It's kind of like they
Israel.
sit on top of each other a little
Yeah,
bit, right?
yeah.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. So Lebanon is a tiny, tiny country. Without traffic or anything, you can cross it from south to
Yes.
north
to south, yes,
in
yes.
2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. If there's nobody on the street.
Not
yeah.
so big.
But then with the congestion, everything, it can take a day or two. So.
So I want to ask you a question. It's a bit embarrassing, but it's a genuine question. I feel like I should have done some prep for this because I know something about But the Lebanese civil war, I don't know about it actually. Even maybe if you asked me before I met you and you asked, was there a civil war in Lebanon? I say I don't know. But what if you could tell me briefly what was the conflict over?
Do you have 2 hours?
Maybe 5 again. This
it's
is episode
longer
1.
than talking about bringing up children.
Okay.
No, I'll put it in a nutshell. It kept on evolving. It started with one thing, and then 25 years later, it ended with something else.
Sure,
with lots of things changing. Very unfortunate. So it just started with the Palestinian conflict, really, in Lebanon, and then it grew into kind of like, it was very perverse. Like I probably confuse people if I talk about it, but it was just that Christians were fighting Christians at one point, Christians, Muslims, I don't want to say the religions necessarily, but
it
there
was
are lots
separated
of
in some
political
ways
branches.
that way. Yes,
there is lots of division that.
And I imagine
came out of
ethnically
it.
also people may be divided by religion, right? So it's
But you see, we never ever lived like that. We all loved each other. I mean, there was no problem with the Lebanese people living together. Wars are just horrible.
Yes.
And they keep on happening. They've been happening for thousands of years. But there's always somebody benefiting from a war, and therefore that's why they happen.
Yes.
And the poor people pay the price, and so forth and so forth. But
yes, this is true.
It's just I did see horrific things when I was there, because we were, like I said, very lucky to go to boarding school. So it took us to England. I went to boarding school there with my sister and my brother to Manchester in England, to a school called Cheetham School of Music, a very, very high standard school in all of Europe, where you did your academics and very high standard musical studies.
What was that move like? You said you were a teenager by that time?
Yes, so I was 16.
You were 16, and so obviously you'd lived this. I mean, again, at 16, it's maybe on the cusp of adulthood, but by some measures, certainly an adult. By my measure, sure, you're an adult
it's like
as far as
school.
Like you're a person, like you, and so you must have very distinct memories of this. What was that transition like? Were you excited about it? And you went with your
my
sisters also,
was
right?
a pianist, and my brother was a flutist. So I forgot right before it, when I was 14. We left to Canada in Quebec City, and we went to Katimavik High School, I remember the name, and to the music conservatory there. Then we went back to Lebanon because things got better, the war. There were always periods of fighting and then periods of rest. And then, so after that, we went to the Cheetham School of Music. Yeah.
So Canada was your first time leaving, so I can ask about that, but also leaving for England. How are they different? How are they the same?
We kind of hated Quebec City because this was in 1970. This was before you were born, obviously.
Yes.
In 74.
Okay.
And the Québécois, as they say, were not wanting anything to do with the English language. They were. That was the year where they wanted to be strictly French independence.
It's kind of in some ways a different country.
Yeah.
Like I think there's even a movement in the province that they want to be separate somehow.
And that's when it started, when we were there.
Oh, I see. Okay. It was, so I've only been to Quebec once, to Montreal for 4 or 5 days or something, a short time. But I was shocked that. So I've known people speak French in Quebec, but I've been to Canada many times, and I know they speak English. So of course they're bilingual in Quebec. A lot of them are not. A lot of them only speak French.
Quebec,
they don't speak a word of English.
Be French only. Now, I don't know if things have changed now, but I can imagine that when they were very fanatic about just everything.
So maybe they don't want to learn English. They want to keep that separation, the Franco-English separation.
Yeah.
So they're not welcoming to you, essentially.
Back then, they were very, very not friendly. So. But then I was only 14, but there were tensions for sure.
14 is always hard.
Yeah.
If that's in your home country, it's a hard age. And was England different?
Yeah, I mean, so England, so then, I mean, so that's what in high school, and then we went back, and then we went to LA, and then we went back, and then I went back to London as an older person. Like I was 23 when I went back to the Royal Academy of Music in London. So maybe that's more interesting to talk to when I was younger.
Sure, sure.
I mean, it's like anybody's, like if I ask you, tell me, you know, when you were at high school or when you went to college,
well, it's
you're the
different.
Same person.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, between the two, between high school and college.
Yeah, because that's
Sure,
when I was
yep.
in England as a high schooler and as a college student.
I see,
so.
I see, I see. So England, you were there mostly in the 80s?
Yes. So at Chet's, at Chetham's, the high school, the very, very amazing school, was in 76 to 79, or 77 to 79. And then in Royal Academy, I was like in 81, 82.
Because this is a very interesting thing. Like the differences between places can be massive, but the differences in time are sometimes much more massive.
Yeah.
So if you go to anywhere in the world right now, you can probably communicate with most people, kind of. You know, you can look at, you know what a phone is. You know, you share some kind of culture, right? But if you were to travel back in time, 150 years in the U.S., you have no base of reference to that person. You cannot communicate. Even you know the same language a bit, but the culture is unbelievably large based on time and not place, right? So it's sort of a difficult thing to talk about. But in your experience, what were the big differences between Lebanon and England as you saw them? Like things you really appreciate about England, or things you missed from back home, or just differences in the way people did things?
Yeah. Well, their accent.
yes.
The English are very quirky about things, you know. They want to do everything a bit backwards, like meaning, like just to be humorous, you know, like on their shirts, it's the opposite of what you have in the United States. The buttons of the women is on the other side.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
It is very true.
Okay,
and the
didn't know that.
faucets, like instead of like hot and cold, it's the other way around.
I only knew the classic example about cars. I didn't know they
the
switched
car
more
on the
things.
other side, yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, that's the most
But also
difficult thing.
buttons
Yes.
and faucets.
And the salt and pepper.
That's wild.
It's
That's
like
so
not
wild.
one whole, it's what, 3 for salt and 1 for pepper. It's the opposite of here.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's so
I mean,
crazy.
this is what I remember. And I'm like, the English just want to be different.
Yeah.
So if there's any English people there
It's
that are
okay,
disagreeing with
it's
me, but
okay.
it's
They
like,
do. I think they would agree.
Yeah.
they do. They want to be special.
Yeah.
They really do. So you said it was more welcoming. Were you able to make friends pretty quickly?
In England?
Yes.
So when I was at the Royal Academy, I was like in the international student house. So I was surrounded by lots of like French students. I had a couple of American students that I got to know very well that were doing a Fulbright scholarship there.
I see.
And lots of English and lots of Pakistanis.
Okay.
So it was very, you know, London is like a potpourri.
Yes, very
of the
international,
world.
right?
So that was a very nice
Different
thing.
from Dayton, Ohio. Not so many foreign people from different places.
Yeah.
In this building, I think a little bit, but in most places,
yeah,
not
I
so
bet
much.
there are more foreigners in this building than we know. We just don't know they're there.
I see a lot in this building.
Yeah, we see.
But
Yes,
not outside
you
the
see.
building. Only in the
Right.
building, not outside.
Exactly. No, you're
nowhere
right.
else.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yes.
That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
So you spent some
Can
time
we say
in England.
cheers?
Cheers to
Okay.
England.
Yes.
Yes, to England.
We're drinking a Heineken Light,
Yes.
which is.
This is German? What is
I think
Heineken?
Heineken. It's not German.
I feel
was
like I should know
thinking,
this.
Isn't it like
I'm a beer drinker. Oh, Holland, it says on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, to Dutch people.
Exactly.
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. No.
So you spent some time in England, and where did you end up next? There's a long list of places here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So after England, I was 23 or what, and then for personal reasons, in that year, do you know Maggie Thatcher? She was
The Prime Minister, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, very famous.
So she was Prime Minister, the Iron Lady.
I've never heard her called Maggie.
Oh yeah, Maggie
but
Thatcher.
sure, I know, yes.
Did I say Maggie Thatcher? Or
Yes.
Margaret Thatcher? Oh.
I've only heard Margaret Thatcher, but
Okay.
I'm sure Maggie is probably what you
Okay,
call her.
wow,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't realize I said that. That's funny. But she, as she was like Prime Minister then, she cut which was horrible. She cut off the arts, like 60% of the arts. So I lost my scholarship when I was there.
For education, essentially,
Yeah,
right? Axed.
for the arts, for music,
yep.
colleges, everything to do with the arts. 60%, that's huge.
Yeah.
So I lost my scholarship, so I couldn't really afford to stay there.
It's an expensive
So,
place.
Yeah. But fortunately, and I'll tell you, I know I say I was fortunate throughout my whole career, because I was so fortunate that personal reasons, I got to go and study at the Eastman School of Music after that.
So
And-
how old are you when you go to Eastman?
Yeah, that's college.
That's
So
college.
you do your bachelor's.
And that point, you've been to how many music schools? Like
know.
4 or 5
Yes.
specialized music
Yes,
schools.
yes. I started at the Lebanese Conservatory with my dad. If I might interject,
Please.
I studied in all of these great musical institutions and with great teachers, but my dad was my best teacher. Everything technically, musically, the music I breathe on my
Yes.
violin is thanks to my dad. Although I studied with brilliant teachers, famous teachers, everything I owe to him.
How can that be? Is that just the relationship you had with your dad?
No, my dad was a very, very good violinist. He himself studied in Paris at the conservatory when he was young. He got scholarships from the Lebanese government. So he studied at the Paris Conservatory, at the École Normale, like all those are top notch, okay? And then he studied at the Juilliard School of Music also with Ivan Galamian, who is
I've
the
heard of-
biggest pedagogue you can think of. So
And most
so-
of these schools also, I've heard the name, which means they
Yeah.
must be just the best and the best and the best.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So but I didn't study in Juilliard. It's very difficult to get into. But
Yes.
Eastman is a wonderful school. So with everything, because he was such a experienced, talented violinist himself, and the most incredible human being, he was my father. I adored him. I still adore him, and I learned everything from him. You know, he taught us to be not just musicians, but good people. You know, because a good musician is a good person. So, yeah.
That's deep. I've heard some people say this about like martial arts, something like this, but never about music.
To be like one in one, you mean, or
Yes,
the
I
martial
mean,
arts?
there's a concept in martial arts that, so it's, you know, in some ways kind of a lifestyle, maybe kind of a religion in some ways, right? That there's
Yeah.
there's beliefs and practices and, you know, different theories and philosophies, teachers, schools, everything like this, right? But you know, it's not just like if you can beat someone up, then you're good. That what does that mean?
I see.
It's
Okay.
meaningless,
I see
right?
what
What
you're
it
saying.
should be, you're a good person in the world and you can help people, and you know, if you gain any kind of power, it's only so that you can use that power for something good. You know, that's the only point of it. Like there's no point in gaining something if you can't use it for something good afterwards, you know. But I've never heard that about music, you know. It makes sense, but I would think most people would say a good musician is someone who makes good music, and that's it. It's finished there.
But in classical, I mean, in any art, to be an artist, a painter, you know.
Okay, we're back. Welcome back. Part 2. So, what were we talking about? Many music schools,
Yes.
many teachers,
Yes.
all of them amazing,
Yeah.
but none as amazing as your father.
Yeah. I owed everything I learned to him. He's my idol, my hero,
That is a beautiful
my
relationship.
friend. Yeah.
I think there's few people who have that kind of feeling about their dads. You know, a lot of people.
I still think he watches over me now.
Huh.
Like, I really, do you believe in angels? I believe in angels.
In a way, you
Angels
know.
are the good people watching. Like, I was in a horrible car accident.
Really.
We could have been killed 1 second, and we could have missed the truck. I had the truck that came right across on I-75. Anyway, the point is that, like, we could have been underneath that truck
Yeah.
very easily.
Yeah.
But so I do believe somebody was looking after us. I believe they're angels. So you might think I'm crazy, but I
No,
really
no,
believe
no.
in them.
I-
And anything good that's happening to me, I say my dad has something to do with it. So
That's beautiful.
yeah.
That's beautiful. Of course, how can you
Maybe
say,
you
no,
don't-
that's not true?
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
what? No,
Yeah,
of course,
you're
that's beautiful.
crazy,
That's
yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Do you have this a similar relationship with your mom? I guess not, right? You cannot have such a beautiful relationship with both your parents. I think, no way.
Good point. I just adore my dad because I
Yeah.
had the music thing with him.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
of course, I adored my stepmom. My mom, I didn't grow up with very much.
I see.
But we were reunited when I was older, which is another whole podcast.
It's like
on its own.
each point we touch on is like a well. It's
Yes,
like
yes.
you know.
Yeah. And I'll tell you-
we can only say the name of the well as we
Yes,
pass by.
yes,
That's all.
exactly. No, but that would be like an ocean. What
Yes.
happened to me and us and our mother is like you can write a novel, like the way, because like a personal thing, you know.
Sure.
She left, and then we found the way we found each other was unbelievable. So, but that was my musician mom. Yeah. So.
Wow. So when you said your father married a beautiful Lebanese woman,
Yes.
it's your stepmom,
Yes.
who you also love as
I
your stepmom.
adored also.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
To the last minute she was alive. So, yeah.
It's beautiful.
She made me who I am actually. What I wear, how I think, how I put makeup on, is all from my stepmom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
How I cook.
Uh-huh.
She was that amazing cook.
You had siblings as well, sisters.
I have one sister who's a pianist.
So it's funny. You have one sister and also you have 3 daughters. Yes.
Yes.
There's no boys anywhere here.
I know.
Yes.
Apparently,
You have
like
strong female energy.
The Nune family, that's my side, Nune. Very, lots of girls.
Huh.
I don't know why.
Uh-huh.
I bet same with you. I don't know.
With me, I
Yeah.
think with my family it's quite kind of split. I don't know. My mom has 4. I think there's 3 girls, 1 boy, but that's not so. It's not such a big split or a big difference, you know.
And siblings of yours?
2 brothers, 2 sisters.
Okay.
It's
that's
very
right.
even.
Yeah, we
Very
talked
evenly
about
split.
that.
Yeah. But I think it can be that way. You know, I know for some animals, you know, it's like certain conditions. It gets warm out and everyone's a male, or it gets like, you know, there's not enough babies and everyone's a female or something like this. So I think it really can change in different people based on some conditions. I can believe it's not just random.
Okay. I never gave that a thought.
Yeah, it's very
Interesting.
interesting. I
Yeah.
love biology. It's what I studied in college,
Okay.
biology and psychology. So it's
Yeah,
very interesting to me.
Psychology is fascinating, yeah.
It is. Everything's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything is fascinating. England. At some point, you ended up in 2 other countries. That are the other 2 countries I want to talk about, which are Slovakia. No, it's Germany and here, right?
Yeah, no
It's-
Slovakia,
it's-
yeah.
it's Germany and then this country.
Yes.
I want to at some point talk about Dayton and Ohio because this is
Yes.
where I live, so I got to talk about this.
Yes, of
but
course.
but you were in Germany first, right? After England.
Yeah. No,
Or is this the wrong
after,
sequence?
Yeah, so after I got my bachelor's in music performance at Eastman School, which is in Rochester, New York, where I'm going next week
Okay.
to visit my sister. I got my bachelor's there, and then I went to Northwestern University in Chicago, in Evanston, north of Chicago. Then that's when I finished studying my master's, and I started my musical career. So I was not lucky with getting an orchestral job in the United States. So
Why?
it's very competitive.
I see.
Yeah, very, like getting an orchestra job. You know, you have like over 100 people auditioning for one position.
Oh, I see.
One
So
chair.
it's just impossible
It's
for
very
most
cutthroat,
people.
very
Yeah.
cutthroat.
I see.
Even very solid, good musicians have a tough time because, like, at the end, it boils down to the best player.
Right.
When you have like 5 equally.
Yeah.
So, I
maybe
mean,
you
like
have
any-
100 and all of them are fine, and you
Yeah.
have 50 and they're good,
Yeah.
and 20 are very good,
Yeah.
and 10 are excellent,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
5 are
it's like-
incredible.
Exactly, so
and
now-
4 of them still don't get picked.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Oh.
that's basic. It's just very competitive.
Yes.
So I said, okay, I'm gonna pack my bags, very spontaneously.
Okay.
Yeah, and I moved to Germany. Like I said, I'm gonna go try my luck with orchestra jobs in Europe. I applied to 8 orchestras, And I said, if I don't get any of those, then I'll go to France. But luckily, my third audition, when I played for the orchestra, I got the job in Nuremberg, Nuremberg Symphony in Germany.
Also,
so that was my German.
Also, the Nuremberg Symphony, I've heard recordings from them.
Have you?
Yes, they're known.
Well, actually, we won a Grammy.
Very known. I don't know how known. I guess I didn't know they won a Grammy. I have no idea, of course, but
we won a Grammy for like best film score.
Okay.
So and the Germans most of them didn't know what a Grammy was.
It's an American award, right?
Yeah.
Yes. What was the film?
It was the film scores of like lots of westerns.
Okay.
And very famous scores like Gone with the Wind. Like a whole combination of things, And so an American conductor came from Hollywood and hired, because sometimes orchestras in Europe are much cheaper than American orchestras.
I see.
So they can afford to make recordings, and so that's why he got us in. And all we got for it was a coffee machine. Like that's what
Not
they
even
gave
like
us.
a mug for each of you.
No, yeah, exactly.
Wait, was it a coffee machine for the whole orchestra to share?
No, a person.
Oh, well, okay, come on. It's so nice. You got a coffee machine.
We're very grateful. But the thing is, like, didn't even know what a Grammy, like, what an honor it is. You know, the Grammys are like equivalent to the Oscars for movies. So
yes. The musical film.
But
it's an American thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a European thing.
No.
Yes. No. It's not like what.
Yeah. So they didn't think that getting a coffee machine, it was a Nescafe coffee machine, was anything. Like they were happy with that, and I'm going, come on, this is the Grammys we're talking about.
You thought
need to
Grammy,
give us way more royalties
machine.
Than that.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes, interesting.
Yeah.
So did you Germany? So here we've covered all of the basics, basically, right? Is it time yet? Could we talk about the big differences between the USA and Europe? Do you feel like, for example, is the difference between a lot of people think of England and the US as fairly close, and there might be something to that. Culturally, right? Because America was founded by, in part, English people, French people as well. Also, I think mostly these two, and of course we speak English here, and so there's some sort of historical ties, maybe cultural ties, but on the other hand, England and Germany are very close to each other, right? And so they also naturally, it's a different language, same language family, different language, right? And some rivalry, but actually they're very close to each other, right? Do you feel like the difference between, Europe and America is bigger or not really than the differences between different European countries? If that question makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, every country has their identity, no matter if they're close distance-wise or not. In Europe, of course, you're gonna find, what are they? I can't count right now, but like 10 countries that are stuck together.
Oh.
And it's just so easy. You know how Europe is so small, and you can just travel for 3 hours. You're in a different culture, different language, different food. Here in the States, you travel, you take an exit, and you see the same shops. Like Old Navy and Target.
It's like copy paste.
Yeah, exactly. But then like the States, of course, you can't put the States down. I mean, the national parks. The West Coast is just so beautiful. The East Coast, Maine, and like.
It's huge.
It's
just
so
huge.
Beautiful. Yeah. America's also a potpourri of everything.
Yes.
But if you're not careful, it tends to be very repetitious. It's capitalistic. I mean, aren't we all countries, but like especially
America?
Yeah. So, but I love the Americans. I love that they're very easy. Like they're fun. Some people are saying, "Are you crazy? Have you ever lived in New York City?" Life in that fast lane is completely different. But in general, Americans say, "Excuse me." The Germans just push you. Sorry, Germans out there, but you know what I'm saying. Of course, this is tongue in cheek. But I love the Americans. They have a very easy way about themselves, and like my American mom would come and visit in Germany, and she would sit, and I would invite my German friends, and my mom would say, wow, and these are young people, we were in our early 20s. She said, I've never experienced such incredible conversations than with these Germans, like they go in very detail, they go very deep, they know a lot about what they're talking. And here it's just easy. It's talking is fun, I don't feel like I
it's
need
kind of
to
play.
Yeah, it's just easy. You don't have to think too much,
You can be stupid, it's okay.
and not stupid, but like you don't have to know too much about things. But that's what I love about it, that they're not pretentious. Like, I'm not saying Europeans are pretentious, don't get me wrong, but like
Some of them are.
Yeah. So, but then again, pretentious is a very relative word, like compared to what and how much.
There's this sort of theory that, well, I believe it's true, but I'd like to ask your opinion. That there can be big divides between countries, and I think a lot of that is politics, geopolitics, culture, sports, even. Where we say, hey, we're not like them. But I felt, of course, the differences between people in one country can be enormous. Personality differences, right? That two Americans can be totally the opposite. And I felt like those differences between personalities are much bigger than personalities between cultures. So is French culture different from American culture? Of course, yes, it is, right? But the difference is small compared to the difference between two different Americans or two different French people. Do you think that's accurate?
I'm not quite sure what you mean, but I mean, in America, like if you get somebody from the East Coast and West Coast, like they're completely different countries, nearly, right? So,
yes.
Or from the South, and
Yes.
But those exist in every country.
Yes.
So
Yes.
even in like any cultured, country, you're gonna get those immense. You're gonna get what you find here, there also. It's not that they're like better or anything.
Yes.
I don't know if that answered your question, but
Not really, but I'll keep
Yeah,
my theory.
okay.
I'll just keep my theory. I'll
At
say
least
I'm
you're
correct.
honest. Yeah.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I want to ask about your. So you've actually really lived in different countries, and I'm sure some places you identify more with others. Like you're Lebanese, of course, but also you've lived in America for so long, and you've had a family. And your three daughters were all born in America, right?
They were born in Germany.
Born in Germany. Okay.
So they.
Maybe I met two of your daughters, and they just struck me as very American. But I guess that's maybe just international people.
Well,
Maybe they can blend into different
here,
places.
So, yeah, they grew up here. They were born and they came over when they were 3 months.
Okay, I see.
So they were basically born here. So that's why they're American as can be. So.
I see. And you also, you lived places long enough also that you speak all the languages that you speak. German, yes, and French and English and Arabic, which is just wild.
Yeah.
It's just
But
wild.
I'll tell you, like for your viewers, like growing up in Lebanon,
Yes.
most of the young generation, they're all trilingual. Like it's Arabic, English, and French.
Oh.
Or more Arabic and English or Arabic and French, but not
At least solidly bilingual.
Yes.
And maybe some of another, maybe plenty of trilingual people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you asked me earlier on what do you remember of your childhood watching TV in Lebanon.
Oh.
So it's very nice to notate. I think they still do it now, but not as much as then. So if you're watching, we used to watch lots of American programs here, like Dallas and like all the oldies, all the old shows that you don't know, and then all of the the newer 80s and 90s. So if it was an American show, they would have English and French subtitles, not just one language but two.
Okay.
If it was an Arabic show, it was French and English.
Okay.
And
So
if
you'd
it was-
always get 3 languages at one time.
Yes.
The audio and
Yeah.
then 2 subtitles.
And two subtitles,
Oh.
which is phenomenal.
Yeah. It's
So they speak it not because just they're smarter than anybody else, but because it's spoken.
Mhm.
So they're not just like here you learn Spanish and you never really use it. You just learn it in school, unless
True. Yeah.
you have the word connected with the language. But over there, since everybody uses it in their everyday, it's very easy to learn. Because if you don't use it, you lose it.
That is a big
use
difference.
it,
Yeah.
so we don't lose it.
I see. I got you. I got you.
Yes.
Yeah, I see this in a lot of places. I mean, obviously, America is. I don't know if it's really unique in being monolingual. It may be rather unique. I mean, I know in many places people speak 2 or 3 languages. It's quite common around the world. But also, many places people speak 1 language. You know, I think most of Mexico they speak 1 language. You know, I don't think they're not bilingual. You know.
But there's 600 dialects probably. So.
Right, and
I mean,
so
that
that was a big thing I saw in China, where people would speak 3 different kinds of Chinese. You know, but maybe they don't speak English, but they know 3 different varieties of Chinese. You know, or something like that.
Yeah.
So the question I want to ask with these languages in these different places is, even for people who are like 2nd generation American, let's say your parents are from, you know, Nigeria and you're, you know, or something like this, there can be, for these simple things, there can be issues of identity about like, who am I? Like, where am I from? Like, what culture is me, you know? How do you deal with that or think about yourself as like a very fully international woman?
Good question, Joel. Like, you know, also, if you asked me this question when I was much younger, or now older and now older, the answer is always changing. So, I identify with now, if you're asking me now, you know, I'm not like a spring chicken anymore, as they say.
As they say.
Yeah. I think I will identify with the thing that I think made the biggest impression to form me as a person. So at this point, I can't tell you if I feel like I'm American or Lebanese, or I lived, you know, played in Germany for 10 years. So that's a big chunk of my life.
It's a long time.
Yeah. And so I don't identify. If people sometimes they ask me, they always ask me, say some accent, I always say I'm Lebanese. I get the most positive reactions always.
Have you tried other things? You said I'm German or something?
I fool around with them. I asked them, I think I did that with you. I told you I'll give you $1 million if you guess where I come from.
Okay, sure.
Nobody guesses.
Yes.
So, yeah. But let's see, what was I saying? Yeah, so if people ask me and I say I'm Lebanese, and some people will ask me, so are you Christian or Muslim? And I say, I'm a person of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's how I feel. I am, like, not because of a religion or anything, but because I grew up in so many places, cultures, or whatever. I really think I'm somebody who, like, I'm just a person with lots of parts.
Yes.
Kind of like the map of the world.
Yes.
With all the countries, that's me. Like
yes.
here.
Yes.
You know.
But you're quite comfortable.
Yes.
It's not. It's not like a soup you're lost in or something.
No.
You're quite comfortable.
But then again, when you asked me when I was younger, I was lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I used to be lost. I didn't know, like, what do I really feel, because I was doing all the moving, you know. Mm. And now I'm more reflexive. Do you say that? No, retrospective.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, retrospective.
Sure.
Yeah.
Think about your past.
Yeah. But back then, I actually told my kids at one point, like, I wish that you won't be moving like I moved, because it made me feel unrooted, like I didn't know where I belonged.
It does make you unrooted. Yeah, it's not just a feeling.
I felt like an interesting person, but I felt unsettled.
Yes.
Now, looking back at it, that's the best thing that could have happened to me. Yeah.
I guess it does depend on perspective, right? And there's the kind of the grass is always greener thing, where you look at someone else and you envy their life, but they look at you and envy your life.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
I think about the same thing with moving around a lot. Like when I was in maybe, I don't know, college or something, or high school especially, I would think about, there's these people, they grew up in a small town and they take over their father's business repairing cars, and they get married to their high school sweetheart. They never date, they never travel, they never try things, right? They just have a family and live their life in their little town.
Sometimes I envy these people.
That's what I'm saying. I used to think, like, how could they have such a horrible life? Like, they don't know what they're missing. And now I'm like, that seems good. Like, that seems quite good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny how, I was just thinking about that the other day, you know, how people can find happiness in very simple things.
Yes, yes.
This is brilliant, actually.
Yes,
you know.
yes.
But then again, some people, I was just messaging my friend talking about that we need to find so many paths in our lives, and some people have the one path.
Yes.
They love it, or actually maybe they hate it, but they're stuck with it.
Yes.
But being content is a blessing. Like, if you're really content with where you are and what you have, I envy those people. But I don't call them boring or anything. If they're happy, that's amazing.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
But life is moving at such a fast pace that we don't have time to really enjoy the ground we're stepping on. You know, like our minds are so going in different paths. Like, we have so many now cross cables. You know.
Yes, especially with this. This is adds 1,000 cables to it.
Yes, exactly. It keeps you busy and not sleeping sometimes.
Yes.
We have become slaves to our phones.
100%.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
It's awful, but
It is.
But I can't read a book anymore. I can't focus. I have to read a paragraph
Magazines.
like 3 times.
Magazines. You gotta go to magazines.
Yeah,
There's
magazines.
short little
Do
articles.
they still
Yes.
exist?
Oh, yes, you have to go to the store. Yes, you can buy one at later or something. Yes, just a 2-page article. You're finished. You can pick up your phone after that.
That's true. Well, those are the articles on the phone, right? Like
yes, indeed. You get the
Little
paper.
chunks.
You get the paper.
Yeah, I know.
I've got one last question.
Yes.
Because I felt like actually this is a perfect place to end it, because you just
Okay,
said some
yes.
really profound, beautiful. So we should just end here.
Okay,
But I actually,
sure.
I'm sorry, I have to go back to
course.
something more basic.
Of course.
Ohio. I have to talk about Ohio.
Okay, but I'm gonna tell you. I mean, why basic? Ohio, like, I
Okay.
mean, no. So when you're young,
Uh-huh.
you want excitement, right?
Yes.
But when you grow older, you appreciate what you have. So Ohio, I know Ohio is not the most interesting place for sure, but it depends where you are in Ohio.
Uh-huh.
It depends. Like, can we bring it into Dayton now?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can say Dayton. You know, I mean, a friend of mine phrased it beautifully. He said, what did he say? I want to say it correctly. He said, if you're looking up and around, I forget what he said,
Sure,
but
sure,
it was very brilliant.
Uh-huh.
But it's not about what you see, it's the people and what a city offers, okay? So Dayton offers a lot in the arts. We offer a really good symphony orchestra, a ballet, an opera company, a modern dance company, all in a very small contained
It's
place.
it's a
You know?
mid-sized city. I think
Yes.
250,000 people or something. It's not huge.
Yeah,
So you have a ton
Yeah,
of the arts
exactly.
in this
Yes.
small space.
and it's
yeah.
all around you. You know,
Mhm.
it's not a stressful city,
No.
but you know, every country has its hicks. You know, like
Oh, the
I don't know if
hicks.
I should
Sure,
say that
yeah.
word.
Like country
I'm not
people?
insulting.
Of course.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Even like sophisticated countries, like like
Well,
Europe.
Australia, they have
Yeah.
like the outback people. I want to go party with them sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I like Hicks. I feel like I have a lot to learn about Hicks. I
Yeah.
don't
yeah,
have
but Hicks, like, is that negative or?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, it is.
I don't mean it like that.
Some
and maybe that's
country
why
people, some
I
low
shouldn't
class
have said-
people,
yeah,
some uncultured
they're
people.
everywhere. They're
Yes,
everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere. So, but it's up to you. You know, it's up to you to choose what you want to see.
True.
You know, if you want to see like the boring, like it's not. I mean, there are lots of musical things going on in the summer. You know.
Yeah, I saw
Like-
one of the best concerts I've ever seen randomly.
Yeah.
Some folk singer from Kentucky.
Okay.
Just at the Levitt Pavilion, they have these free outdoor
Yeah,
concerts.
yeah.
And they do a thing. This was the coolest thing I thought. So they're free concerts.
Mhm.
You just go and sit on the grass, and they're just free for everyone. And like
But being to
it's
one,
not
yeah.
it's not full. Like they could have way more people. They're like really good musicians.
Mhm.
At least the one I saw, he was fantastic. And And afterwards, they, you know, like how they do at church. I don't know if you've been to church, but you know, they pass around like a bucket for money, you know, to like, okay, we're doing this whole thing, everyone help out a little bit. They did the same thing at the concert, like everyone help out if you want to, if you can. I thought that was so cool. Like, you know, we all support, you know, this cool event a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. So, you know, if they say Ohio is like, just, you know, in general, it's the Midwest, although it's really not the Midwest. I don't get it. Like geographically, at one point,
it has very bad branding. Like a lot of people hate it. Maybe there's not a good reason to hate it, but they just do. You know, it's just it has a bad brand. That's all.
Yeah. And you're where from?
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yes, we have a big rivalry. You know,
yeah.
Michigan and Ohio.
That's true.
But I mean, Michigan. I don't know. It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
But I will also say, if I never knew anything about Ohio, they just told me get in a car and drive south. It's pretty similar, you know. It's not that different, and it's great. Actually, I thought it would be really bad, and I quite enjoy my time here.
Yeah.
I think when I leave, it'll be sad.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll be sad to leave this place.
Okay.
And I've left some places before that I was not sad to leave. I was so excited to leave.
Okay.
You know, I don't think this will be one of them. I think I might
Can
cry.
I pinch you? Like, are you really saying this?
No, well, look, not yet. You know, I'm still new here. I've been here for a little bit more than a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not. I mean, I've met you, which is really beautiful. I've met some other people, you know, and I can consider them my friends. But there's something about friendship that it doesn't matter how well you get along. Actually, it takes time. You know, it takes time. So like you're best friends with someone, you're not actually. You have to spend some hundreds of hours together before you really are. You know, and so, but I think I can meet some. Some of my friendships will develop into that, I think, and then I will be very sad to leave. And that's the difference between, you know, a place you love and a place you don't, I guess.
It's true. And don't forget, I think the beauty is in the eye. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yes.
So you're gonna see what you want to see.
You're right.
No matter where you are.
It's beautiful. Thank you, Dona.
You're welcome. Seriously, I
Cheers.
did choose our beers, but we will now. So thank you very much for this.